Hi everyone, I'm Sydney. I am a musician and an entrepreneur, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Gen Z.
Hi everyone, I'm Jesse. I'm a sales specialist, an economist, and an entrepreneur, and I'm speaking on behalf of the millennials.
Welcome to a conversation between Gen Z
and the millennial here.
So, what's your take on what's happening with the Gen Z Maandamano?
The Gen Z are just picking up what us millennials failed to do because of being used by the political class to get themselves into power.
Okay.
And use instruments of power to keep us poor. If you look at what's happening in African countries today, you'll find that the leadership of Africa is 64 years and above, and that's like 4% of the population. And majority of the population right now is the median age of leadership in Africa is 64 years.
Okay.
And the median age of the generation, the young youth, is 19 years, which is basically Gen Z and the likes.
Okay.
And part of that also constitutes the millennials, who are just around the same area.
Okay.
So millennials have mainly been influenced by politicians and the boomers, who basically allowed the impunity to penetrate in our country, whereby, a politician will tell you guys to keep quiet when he's eating, and you guys will keep quiet and he'll eat your money. So basically what's happening in our generation is that Gen Z is basically not going to sit and go through what us millennials went through.
Definitely.
We went to school, acquired education in our country, but we are not able to grow to the next level.
So from my take, what we've been doing on the streets is just demonstrating our fears of what's going to come in future for our country. Because we don't know where, like the likes of our parents and grandparents, we don't want to be in a situation whereby we don't know what's going to happen next. And the fact that the brand stops with the civilian is very, very worrying for us. So from your perspective, what's the positive impact you felt from us Gen Zs?
Gen Zs have really brought out the passion in us Kenyans. There was so much hidden passion in us Kenyans. The positive aspect is that because of them rising up, they're borderless. They're not using tribe as a tool that was used to separate us millennials, so that we could not bring our efforts together and gather our thoughts to be productive as a nation and come up with a product. What happens in our country is that specialization brings out the best in us, and Gen Zs are the best example of specialization. They're engineers, they're software practitioners, and they're medics, and they're specialized in physiotherapy and all these other specialties. And when you specialize, you make more money. And if you look at our founding fathers, Kenya was the manufacturing hub of Eastern Central Africa. Tanzania was the bread basket. Uganda was a mixture of the two, a blend of two. So you find that is how we were set out to grow as a community. But because of colonization has never ended, because we have been colonized through our education. We never realized that we're always competing as young guys. If there's an idea, we're always competing who is going to lead in the idea and stuff like that. But Gen Zs have overcome this. Gen Zs are not competing each other. They are bringing their efforts together. And this is what has, if you look at developed societies like the Jews bring their efforts together. And that's why Israel is a very small nation, but very powerful to the extent that they can make weapons of mass destruction. They can export food.
I think the Chinese have a similar
system, right?
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, I think we should emulate from that. And Gen Zs are coming out to show that they are way above that. They are way above tribal lines. They are way above religion. Religion is another way of colonization, because if you look at Africa, you'll find that 65% of the populations are always congregated 4 times a week, every weekend. 4 times a month, sorry, every weekend, once a week.
It's just to make merry.
Just to take their donations there.
Or to church, or go to church.
To church, yes.
Basically.
Yeah, go to church and be, structured in the way you think, like be brainwashed that, hey, we're going through corruption, we're going through all these things. Oh, Tachia Mungu, we'll pray to God about it and it will be solved.
It's a beautiful thing you've brought that up. You being an economist,
yes,
what do you think about what's going on with our finance bill right now?
The finance bill is just a draconian way of extending the colonial power. You'll find that, for example, the housing bill. I did some introspection and some research and found that the reason the housing bill is really being pushed forward as a narrative is that they want us guys to stop. The development of Africans is our strength is in our agricultural land.
Yeah.
You remember Moi used to say that we are an agricultural society.
Yeah.
So, and Moi used to really boost the agricultural sector. So if you look at our budget today, you find that less than 2% of our economy, GDP has been allocated to agricultural practices. In other words, that is designed to keep us poor, so that we continue to ask for food whenever we're in need. And whenever we have surpluses, we don't have resources to ensure that we can keep our surpluses for our rainy days.
But the government is saying, from this proposed bill, that it wants to introduce, self-sustenance, self-reliance on itself. Do you think it's a sustainable plan for us to go through with this particular finance bill?
So the government, the other way they control the population is through, just managing you through information. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Before you know it, it's 5 years, it's done, and there's nothing that has happened. So basically, with the housing bill, they want people to leave the rural areas where the land is to come to the urban centers, and then they'll have some modern cities. I've forgotten the name. I think a 15-minute cities whereby everything you do is within 15 minutes of your reach. And then what happens next is that you leave your agricultural land. So the big corporations from, the Bill Gates corporations and Cargills and stuff like that, they'll come and now possess that land for them to now do production of food for the world and say, food comes from Africa, but it's the white man doing food from Africa. So they don't allow us to do food for the world. But the systems are designed so that to make us look like we are not agriculturally productive yet.
Okay. We're not dependent on ourselves.
We're not dependent on ourselves. It's by design.
Okay.
It's not that we are lazy, we are not hardworking, we are not forward thinking, we are not visionary. All this is by design just to make us look like, hey, we always need help. And they're always willing and ready to help us if you look at it. Whenever we raise our heads and say, hey, we need help, you'll always see them, yeah?
Okay.
And they're ready to give us loans at very high interest rates, which the same interest rates don't apply for when they're giving a country like the US loans. US is the most debted country in the world, more than $30 trillion in debt currently. And the rate of inflation is very high there. The living standards are very low. They won't tell you that, they won't show you that, even though they'll try and market it as, hey, guys, we have jobs abroad, so that you leave your native land and your strength, which is in producing food for the world, and go to work for them in their countries. And basically what it is, I saw another feature on Canada the other day that Canada is really calling in for immigrants to go, low-skilled immigrants.
No requirements needed.
No requirements needed. You just come. So what happens is that you're taxed. Most of the money there you're taxed. Close to 45% of your income goes to the government. Rent is very high, and a few people own houses in Canada. Despite having a huge landmass, they don't have many houses there. So you basically live from hand to mouth. You don't have anything to save, and when you want to come back to your country in Africa, you don't have enough savings for you to come back. So you're tied into their system. So you work for them like for at least 4 to 5 years. So they use you as labor.
Do you think that's why the government is trying to minimize creating job opportunities in the country and trying to export us abroad?
Yeah, so basically when you say you're looking for foreign investors, you're basically selling opportunities in Kenya, business opportunities in our country to foreigners. You're selling our opportunities here to foreigners. The only people who know opportunities that exist in our country are Kenyans. Why don't you encourage local investors to grow? You can easily do this through, applying fiscal or monetary policy in economics, of which I can elaborate later. But basically, these are the things that are not happening to boost local growth. For example, I can give you an example of what's happening currently.
Okay.
The interest rates are very high. That is by design to ensure that local entrepreneurs don't find access to credit. Now, when the interest rates are very high, the only person who can borrow locally is the government. It's only the government that can be able to borrow. So it locks out private investors from accessing credit that can be used to expand on their businesses and maybe create more jobs and employ more people, or just expand on a product and maybe market reach and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
that's why you hear this push for I'm looking for jobs abroad. I'm looking for jobs abroad. So you tell me if you're highly skilled and highly educated, and probably the investment that went into equipping you with all these skills are way into the millions. But what you're going to earn is not commensurate. Remember that even where you're going to work, there are tax regimes.
Yeah.
They'll also need to tax your money. And when you come back to Kenya, your income is also taxed again. So in as much as fine, you've made some money, but at the bottom line, you're not better off than your neighbor who you left around, because if you look today around, most of the people who are educated are not don't drive big cars.
Yeah.
Don't own the resources. The people who own the resources are not educated. But right now, the people who you will at least find with some money, some disposable income, maybe a bit of some money, the border guy, he's not educated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's very liquid.
Is liquid because you need little or no skills to just a few, just being keen, just being technical. Yeah. That's all you need. You don't need educational power.
So how do you think through this maandamano and protests that have been happening, what do you think the Gen Z or us, what do you think, how will we be represented? Or how are we going to be represented, in your opinion?
So you see, for the Gen Zs, right now, they're very equipped with knowledge. That's a given. That's a tech. That's a plus for them, and I commend them for that. And this is the hard work of parents.
For sure.
Yeah, and so Gen Zs, I feel that they would sell themselves short if they represented themselves. Because remember, if you look at the character trait of Gen Zs, they are also a quick fix solution guy kind of populace or generation. Yeah. So they need somebody who can articulate their issues and ensure that they're well represented in a way that they don't sell short. For example, you know, it's easy for a Gen Z to see 10 million cash, you know, pap.
Yeah.
You know, makes you, you know, maybe you can give in or something like that. I'm not saying Gen Zs are like that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they are not experienced enough in life, or they have not been exposed enough for them to be able to negotiate on their own. Okay?
Okay.
So they need assistance, and the immediate assistance they can get is from us millennials, because we more or less empathize and understand them. We can feel their shoes, because they're just behind us. They are our small brothers and sisters. And they have seen, they're expressing our frustration and their own frustration. Okay? So Gen Zs basically need to be included in the running of affairs of our nation going forward. Okay? Gen Zs want to be heard and not to be ignored. What is happening right now, you'll hear that people from the state, from the government, are saying, oh, they're commending the Jay-Zs. That is just being fake. Ideally, somebody who is beaten will speak the way our president is speaking, by saying, oh, I commend these guys, but yet you're shooting them, you're killing them,
you're abducting them.
So there's so much double speak, and I'd personally like to call out the deputy president. He says he has ears on the ground. This is just before the bill was presented in Parliament last week, and the ears on the ground, people on the ground were saying, we don't want it. Yeah. He wants kingpinship in the mountain.
Yeah.
This was his golden opportunity
to take
up that mantle and say, I'm leading my MPs against this, and that would have been, you know, a new twist in our country, a new twist in our democracy, and he would have made a statement, but he chickened out. He failed to show his leadership and wisdom that his age above the president should demonstrate. And for me, I feel that Gen Zs can be represented by somebody who can feel and articulate their issues very well, and also they should be included in our processes going forward. For example,
definitely
elections.
Yeah.
The new electoral system has to be developed by Gen Zs. Gen Zs have shown us that they are techno-savvy.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They are brave to coordinate, and they are also very technically sound to do everything they did to bring us to this point that we have to discuss them.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I commend everything you're doing, but now we millennials have to step up to help you guys. There's so many millennials who have stepped up. If you look around, you'll see so many millennials have stepped up, and I commend my fellow millennials, and I hope that they can continue. For me, I feel that, and I feel that the only way I can help Gen Zs is by representing them.
For sure. Yeah. As we're doing right now, let's talk about the way forward and the solutions that Gen Zs can engage.
So for me, I feel that first of all, Gen Zs should be tasked to bring up the new electoral system that is going to be used to generate, to vote in our country.
Now, I was speaking to someone online, and they asked this question. Let me just find it 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
They asked, can our finance bill lead us indirectly to recolonization? And we know the US has a particular interest in Kenya.
Yes.
And we all know where the US is, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
So is there something in the bill or about the bill that can lead to recolonization?
Definitely. The other year, there was somebody, is it from the US Congress or something, one of the leaders in the US parliamentary systems was talking about recolonizing Africa. This has been the agenda in the Joe Biden administration, and US is being kicked out of every country they go to. Americans are basically warmongers. They make money from the military-industrial complex. All they do is create war, animosity, and then we end up using the products that they create, which are guns, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you look at America today, there's so much guns and stuff like that. They always shoot out every day and stuff like that. Even the police just shoot people around.
Yeah.
So, Americans, if you go to West Africa today, people don't want them around. Why? Americans are very corrupt. In fact, one of the most corrupt systems in the world is the American system, the American government itself. In America, the economy is not running well. There's so many complaints in that country. If we started discussing them, it will be deep.
Yeah.
But there's an agenda about recolonization of Africa. If you look at the 2 military bases that America has negotiated to set up in Kenya, it's all about putting their military foot down so that, any resistance that can be formed, they can assist the government to thwart. Okay? So for me, I feel that America is part and parcel of the system that is here to colonize, because if you look even at the Bretton Woods institutions, they're all owned by America. The World Bank and the IMF, they're the ones who keep giving us loans at very high interest rates. If you look at the UN, 25% of its resources comes from America. So who calls the shots in the UN? Basically, it's an American body. And if you look even at the other day when they brought in 2,500 of their employees into our country, it's just so as to bring a cultural change into our country. And you see, we have things about LGBTQ and, trying to make our children realize their sexes. We wonder for what, Us guys from the lakeside, we go to shower with our kids naked. Yeah, guys on that side, women on that side. We respect each other.
Yes.
It's a cultural thing.
Yes.
We live within our means. That's our traditional way of doing things.
Yeah. Do you think the proposed amendments to this bill on the land succession and freehold and leasing of the land, what do you think about that?
That's part of the colonization agenda. It's part of the agenda so that you fail to pay for your land rates and the government gets to pick it up, and it is now available for the Bill Gates and the people who want to bring GMO and stuff like that to have a playground, a field to do whatever it is they want to do in our country.
With this regime, in case this bill passes, do you think there'll be a lost generation in between?
I feel that we are losing so much. We're going to lose so much of our land, so much of our heritage as Kenyans, and we're not going to have somewhere to call home eventually. I think we're going to be slaves in our own country. We're going to, basically call for the government for everything we want, every solution we need. For me, a successful government should empower its people. A government is powerful through its people. A government's power or strength is not shown by the military might. It is shown by the strength of the people, the economical strength of the people, the number of the people they have in the country, the landmass they have and how they use that landmass to push for their agenda, to get their own food, to get their own food security, to get their own space to prosper, to develop themselves. Look at India. Look at China. These guys have two things in common. They have land space, very wide land space, and two, they have very large population. What a large population does for you gives you an instant market for anything you produce. Okay?
Yeah.
That's why you see in Nigeria, when a hit goes out, it hits in Nigeria before it hits in the rest of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So if it's a hit in Nigeria, the guy is already making money in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Same to China, same to India. This applies to your military might. Okay? So if you have more people with money in their pockets in China, like in China, there are more millionaires than the population of Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah? So how do you think you can invade China and beat China? Even if you are US? You wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
Look at India. You wouldn't do the same thing. Look at Russia. You wouldn't do the same thing. Look at Brazil. You wouldn't do the same thing. So right now, I'd say that going back to your question again, yeah, the Gen Z needs to be involved in everything we're doing right now. Gen Zs need to be given opportunities in these spaces that these guys want us to leave for the foreigners to come and take. For example, if it was up to me,
yeah,
I'd give I'd give 45% of the GDP to agriculture. That would employ each and every Gen Z in our country. Gen Zs will be using drones to inspect their farms. That will produce more food. I'll go to Galala Kulano, that thing. I'll give each Gen Z 2.5 acres and give them means of production and tell them that once you produce, I'll buy from you. And then I become a net exporter of food as a country. We say that we have to use taxes to make money into prosperity. Why can't we sell? Why can't we export food?
What is your take on the road levy, for example?
You see, it is easier said than done. The road levy, when they increased the fuel prices, it was hard for us to transport means of production and products as well, as well as human beings who are used to as also part of the means of production. So when that happens, last year we learned that so many companies closed down and relocated to Tanzania and Uganda.
Yeah.
So when you increase the fuel levy, the direct impact is that any product you're producing in the country becomes more expensive to produce. Second of all, when it becomes expensive to produce, it becomes expensive to purchase as well for the consumers. So since there's not been an increase in income for the consumers, therefore with the same amount of income, they are forced to reduce the amount they consume or amount they buy. So even as they adjust their pockets to consume less, so even the producers are forced to produce less because factors of production are not working sufficiently or efficiently as they're supposed to be. So excessive production leads to losses now because you're producing too much, but the offtake is not as high because there's not enough disposable income in the people's pockets for them to buy your goods and services.
As an economist, do you think the housing levy is going to help the Kenyan people or the Kenyan youth or us Gen Z?
No.
Do you think it's just a scheme for people to loot cash or?
Yes. Actually, they're doing these tactics as raising money to pay off debt. Yeah, to pay off debt. All this foreign debt that they're collecting, the housing levy is what is being used to pay off that debt.
If you were put in the position of Mani Kuria right now, what would be your recommendation for us Gen Z for this finance bill moving forward?
I'd apply something called fiscal policy, whereby I would basically remove income tax. Once you remove income tax, you incentivize companies to come into the country because they know that whatever income it is they will make, whatever they're selling, are going to be taxed because of that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you make the country lucrative for both local and foreign investors. Okay? Because in as much as we want to optimize on opportunities locally, there are some capacities we can't fill up on our own, so we need foreign investors as well. And when you attract foreign direct investment, they'll be able to employ more of Gen Zs. Okay. Also, local investors are not going to work on their own. They're not going to import labor. They're going to use Gen Zs to work for them and solve the problems that are around us. So basically, when I say I'll apply fiscal policies, that when I remove income tax, we will have companies having more capital base. Okay, they make more money, so you will not be allowed to export profits. And if you're keeping them, you have to keep them in local banks. This will allow the economy to have a broader capital base, and also through fiscal policy, I'll reduce the interest rates to make it lucrative. Once we have a bigger capital base, we have more money to lend, then make it lucrative for people to borrow money by lowering the interest rates. Then that way, Gen Zs are going, the millennials and the local investors are going to pick up the opportunities, and as well as foreign direct investors. And once they pick up the opportunities, they're going to provide employment opportunities as well to the Gen Zs. And this is what is going to develop the Gen Zs to grow into the next level, and a growing economy from below middle class to at least lower middle class.
Do you think there's any interference, because we are hearing from all sides as Gen Zs that there's a lot of backing from foreign investors to do these demonstrations and political figures? Do you think that the IMF is in any way dictating what we may do with this finance bill?
Yes, the reason Ruto wants this finance bill to go as is because IMF and World Bank wants it to pass as is. IMF and World Bank are the new colonizers of our day. When you have somebody's debt, you're basically his or her slave. Because they'll do with you as they wish. One day, once they have their military bases in our country, they'll hold their arms against us and say, hey, we are taking up your pot and there's nothing you can do about it. So basically, the youth, the IMF and the World Bank are the ones pushing the American agenda here. They're Bretton Woods institutions which are owned by the Americans. So that's where the main underhand is. And there's a point that we're going to tell Ruto, hey, when you were taking these loans, did you consult with us? Did you come to take our opinion? Because at one point in time, we're going to tell you, hey, we were not with you. You were not representing us. Because if you did, we would have that money will trickle down into the economy.
And feel it.
There's something called a multiplier effect. If you come with your money to Rongai, you'll take it to a shop and buy bread. That bread, that shopkeeper will have experienced that money. The boda guy you ride on will have experienced the money. The outlet you'll have got to enjoy your drink will have experienced that money. That's what's called the multiplier effect. So that money spreads into the economy and it multiplies itself. We don't see that currently. During Kibaki's time, he would build a road. That road would have a multiplier effect. The people who are building that road will get wages. They would take it to their wives. They take their kids to school. That school, that hospital will see that money. That's how economies grow. So when you empower, 2 or 5 people, you empower. They have 4 or 5 people behind them. You've already empowered like 25 people already. So that's what's called the multiplier effect, and that's what we need to apply on our Gen Zs.
So let me ask you this: as a millennial, unatokea maandamano?
Sindio?
Are you going to be there? Tomorrow is going to be a really hot day. We hope guys will be very, very safe. This was a short discussion between a Gen Z and a millennial. I was speaking on behalf of the Gen Zs. So yet again, thank you very much.